All right, it is time for the 49ers Seahawks preview, which also will answer the question, will the 49ers beat the Seahawks? Kyle Shanahan hasn't left his office yet since Monday. That's what Thursday night games do. They condense everything. They're also going to condense our preview series. We're going to take a look at the San Francisco offense against the Seattle defense and the Seattle offense against the San Francisco defense in the same video. You could find this linked in the description. The 49ers Seahawks scouting report, the Seattle Seahawks scouting report in the context of their matchup against the 49ers. And I'm going to go through some of the points right now. First of all, the 49ers have a plus 120 point differential, third highest in the league. The Seattle Seahawks have a negative 2 point differential. So the 49ers are 7-3. The Seahawks are 6-4. Not a lot of gap in the division standings. A chance for the 49ers to build some cushion in this NFC West race on Thursday. But the records, although they're close in the standings, you could tell the performance hasn't been particularly close between the 49ers and the Seahawks. This indicates that the 49ers, if they stay healthy, will likely continue on the path of winning more than Seattle, and that gap should grow. This is a good gauge of team strength, point differential. The 49ers have been blowing teams out. The Seahawks have been riding by the skin of their teeth. They lost by the skin of their teeth against the Rams last week, 17-16. So I would say that the Seattle profile is mediocrity outside of special teams. By DVOA, defense adjusted value over average, Seattle has the number 13 offense and the number 22 defense. And the offense has fallen off a bit. They had a couple games where they put up 37 points in weeks 2 and 3. But since then, it hasn't been nearly as good for Geno Smith and this offense. More on that in a bit. I said outside of special teams, that mediocrity. Well, that's because Seattle is the number 5 special teams unit in football. And this is a Pete Carroll thing. It seems that year in, year out, they're in the top 5 in those special teams rankings. And it seems also that they torment the 49ers in that phase of the game. Even last year when the 49ers hired Brian Schneider, Seattle's former special teams coordinator, to write their own special teams ship, in that week 2 game against the Seahawks, there was a big 90-yard field goal block and return for a touchdown by Seattle. And that was Seattle's only points against the 49ers. The 49ers won that game 27-7. In 2021, there was kick I should say there were, because there are multiple kick return blunders by the 49ers in the early season game at Levi's Stadium, and then later in the year, week 14 at Seattle. Oh boy, there was trouble with a fake punt. Travis Homer took it for a touchdown on 4th down for the Seahawks. The 49ers lost both of those games despite the fact that they were favored in both of those games against Seattle. You can go all the way back to the Legion of Boom era. Richard Sherman blocking a field goal and taking it all the way back for a touchdown. Seattle special teams have been a great equalizer against the 49ers. So despite the fact that Seattle is mediocre outside of special teams can even things up really damn quickly. And the 49ers have to absolutely be on it. They have to be focused. They have to make sure that third phase of the game doesn't derail things for them. The 49ers, by the way, are ranked number 25 DVOA this season in special teams, a drop from number 15 last year. They gave up that punt return that let Tampa Bay hang around in the fourth quarter last week. Stuff like that can't happen. I will say that Jake Moody has been kicking well. He hasn't missed since the early game against Minnesota, right? Early in that game. He then made the 55, 57-yarder against the Vikings, and that seemed to turn it around for Jake Moody. He hasn't missed since. I know there have been a couple close calls, but the 49ers would like to see him continue to kick it through the uprights, and then they need some better coverage units. One player who has been good for the 49ers on special teams is their punter, Mitch Wishnowsky, has the 3rd highest punt grade in all of football. All right, so I talked about offensive mediocrity, defensive mediocrity. Geno Smith, the Seahawks quarterback who dealt with an elbow issue in the game on Sunday, actually missed some time before coming in and leading the Seahawks to what should have been the game-winning field goal, but they missed the kick at the end. So it's ironic that I'm talking about the Seahawks special teams unit being good, because it was special teams that did fumble that game away at the end. But anyway, Geno Smith, the quarterback, he should play because he did return against the Rams. Pete Carroll didn't sound overly concerned about Geno Smith's status. He started hot in both of his seasons as this team's quarterback, 2022 and here in 2023, but it's trailed off since then for Geno Smith. And it seems like that's happening again this year. The 49ers dominated Smith and the Seattle front last season. Over 3 games, including the playoffs, 49ers had 61 pressures against Seattle. Now, the Seahawks had a rookie left tackle last year. That was Charles Cross. Charles Cross is better this year. So it's going to be a tougher matchup for Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Randy Gregory, whoever's lined up against him. But the rest of this offensive line, I don't think has gotten much better. They've had to add a 41-year-old tackle, Jason Peters, to man the right side. And that's not going to be good against athletes in their prime on the other side, in their 20s. Chase Young, the 24-year-old. Nick Bosa, another young guy who's obviously in his physical prime or just entering it right now. So the 49ers overwhelmed Seattle with pressure last season. Expect that to be the case again. Now, of course, that means that coverage is going to have to be on point for the 49ers, but it has been over the course of the past 2 weeks. This defense is playing well. I think Steve Wilks is finding his stride. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf are the 2 most used weapons for Seattle, but they've also added a rookie out of Ohio State, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So I don't think he's a game changer as far as, oh my God, this guy's going to get 80% of the target share. Everybody shift your defense toward him, but it is a third weapon for Seattle that can move quickly, that can line up in the slot, that the 49ers are going to have to account for. They moved Deommodore Lenoir inside over the past 2 games to play the slot, so that could be against either Tyler Lockett or this rookie whenever the 49ers have that matchup that they want to approach with man coverage. Is this an Isaiah Oliver game? I think only as depth. I think Isaiah Oliver, he came in as depth. Remember when Charvarius Ward had to exit the game for the 49ers against Tampa Bay. But I don't see, there's Will Dissly on this team, the tight end, but I just don't see the 49ers needing to use a defensive back against the tight end. I think that they've got their linebackers there for this to be on lockdown. Hell, they even had a linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, tackle Jacob Hollister, a receiver a few years ago, very famously at the goal line. So we'll see how the 49ers coverage combinations work out. It's obviously going to be the starting debut for Jair Brown. Is Seattle going to try to pick on that? Well, of course, but it didn't turn out too good for Tampa Bay last week, right? They picked on Jair Brown once right after Talanoa Hufanga went down, but after that, it was 3 pass breakups for Jair Brown. And I think with some preparation, I know it's not the longest week, so maybe it's not the best time to break in a rookie. I think Jair Brown's going to be fine, but I think that Seattle will test him, and maybe there will be a couple breaks. But the 49ers are confident in their offense on the other end to be able to outscore Seattle, whose defense looks very different this season. I'm talking very, very different this season. Let's get this depth chart up for the Seattle Seahawks, because 9 of 11 starters have changed since the last time that the 49ers played them. And that's on the defensive side of the ball. Here we go. The Seahawks defensive. They got Leonard Williams now up front. They've got Jarran Reed again. Jarran Reed spent 2 seasons away, but he's back with them. They signed Mario Edwards Jr. It's a 3-4 now, by the way. They also brought in Draymond Jones, who's listed as an outside linebacker here, but he's played on the inside way more often than he's played on the outside. So between Williams, Reed, Draymond Jones, Mario Edwards Jr., this is going to be a challenge for the 49ers interior offensive line. And the 49ers are in a situation on the interior of their O-line that's a little bit dicey right now. Spencer Burford didn't practice this week. He popped up on the injury report with a knee issue. So Spencer Burford, the 49ers right guard, may not go. Aaron Banks is also probably going to be questionable, I would say. Aaron Banks is the left guard, turf toe injury for the 49ers, who finally returned to practice after missing a couple of games. So if he can go, that solves a lot of problems at left guard, because John Feliciano, who's done a good job filling in for him, can move over to the right side. But if Banks can't go, or if Banks is rusty, all of a sudden, this Seattle interior can give the 49ers a load of trouble. The 49ers signed Ben Barch this week. off of Jacksonville's practice squad. That's a guard with some experience, but he's probably not going to suit up for this game because he just joined the 49ers team. The 49ers can move Jalen Moore from tackle into guard, but he's never played a single guard snap in the NFL. Matt Pryor is an option. He has actually played some guard and right guard specifically. Either way, the 49ers pass protection has not been good this season in front of Brock Purdy, who's been the most efficient quarterback in football. This is the 49ers pass blocking grade by week. The big black line in the middle of this chart is the NFL average. And you could see the 49ers have been below average in every single week, except for when they faced Arizona and when they faced Jacksonville. And Jacksonville didn't have a good interior pass rush. They were more an edge rusher pass rush. The exterior was better for Jacksonville. So the 49ers interior of Feliciano, Brendel, and Burford in that game only gave up one combined pressure. But against Tampa Bay with Vita Vea on the inside, the 49ers gave up 10 pressures on the inside, 10 times as much. What can Seattle do? Well, I don't think they have a Vita Vea, but I think that Leonard Williams is a player. The 49ers have already faced him against the New York Giants in week 3. Seattle traded for him. Jaron Reed is a big body who can give some of the 49ers lighter athleticism some trouble. Draymond Jones, Mario Edwards Jr. I mean, all these guys can make some noise on the inside for the Seahawks. So the 49ers are going to have to neutralize that. Now, so far this year, Brock Purdy, who's been the most efficient QB in football, has, in fact, neutralized what's going on in front of him. The 49ers offensive line ranks in the 20s as far as efficiency goes. So Brock Purdy, who ranks number 1 in the NFL, has been able to work around it. He has escaped the pass rush. It's been all great for that, but he's going to have to do it again, and it's not going to be as easy in the noise of Seattle. So big test coming up again for Brock Purdy and this 49ers team. Where can Purdy challenge the Seahawks? Well, I will say that the cornerbacks for Seattle, Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Trey Brown, all nice players, young players, good players, have been productive players this season. That is the strength of this Seattle defense. Doesn't mean that the 49ers can't go to Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and whoever they want to on the outside. I think the 49ers can still win those matchups, but that's just where Seattle is stronger defensively. Seattle in coverage is where they have been weaker. So Bobby Wagner obviously is a great player, and he's back with Seattle after the stint with the Rams, kind of that one weird year with the Rams. We're going to look back on it and be like, well, Bobby Wagner, he was with the Rams in 2022, Seattle the rest of his career, crazy. Wagner's playing great against the run. Wagner can tackle with the best of them. There was a season I remember only had like 1 or 2 missed tackles back in probably 2018. Probably not as good of a tackler now. He's getting a little bit older, but he's still phenomenal. Still a really good player. But he is weakening against the pass. And Jordan Brooks, the other linebacker, has never been good in coverage. Then one of the safeties, Julian Love, he's not been good against the pass. So up the middle of this defense between Wagner, Jordan Brooks, and Julian Love, you've had holes. And Seattle ranks number 25 in pass defense DVOA, despite the fact that they have that trio of nice cornerbacks. And they rank number 25 in pass defense DVOA because they haven't been good in coverage at the linebacker level and at the safety level. And the 49ers can beat the linebacker level and the safety level, especially if they're worried about their interior O-line. It's going to be a quick release game for Brock Purdy. We're talking Christian McCaffrey. We're talking Deebo Samuel. We're talking George Kittle. I don't know what order that's going to go in. It's going to depend on Seattle's coverages. But I do know that the numbers and the tape both indicate that Seattle has struggled with these linebackers and that safety in coverage. And I think that the 49ers are set to capitalize on that. The 49ers are 6.5-point favorites, so about touchdown favorites for a reason, because their offense has produced against Seattle in the past. I know it's a different Seahawks defense, but I showed you the fracture points right here, and we can see, exactly how Brock Purdy and the 49ers can attack. And on the other side of the ball, the 49ers have completely snuffed out the Seattle Seahawks over the past 3 meetings. So I fully anticipate that happening again for the 49ers. I think that they could win that up front. They've got Chase Young now. They've got Javon Hargrave now. Eric Armstead is coming off of a game where he had 13 pressures on his own against Tampa Bay, a career game for Armstead. So I think he's feeling it right now. I think he's ready to surge against Seattle because he's playing some of his best football. And then he's obviously got Bosa and he's got Chase Young and Hargrave to supplement him. So for the 49ers, the big key is to hold the line on special teams. That's what you have to do. Hold the line on special teams and everything will be fine. So, will the 49ers beat the Seahawks? That's the question. I don't have a text title for it today, but the question is, will the 49ers beat the Seahawks? And my answer for you is yes. The 49ers will beat the Seahawks. Stay tuned for the prediction and more. We'll talk to you soon.